In recent history, it's been difficult to dispute Can Am as the performance leader in the big bore 4x4 ATV segment, as proven by numerous GNCC racing championships, in addition to our 2020 1000cc 4x4 ATV shootout, where the 91 horsepower Can Am Outlander 1000R XTP took the win over Polaris 90 horsepower Sportsman XP 1000. Since then, the horsepower war has reignited with a 90 horsepower 2-up model from CF Moto and the Segway AT110 producing a claimed 96 horsepower. Determined to remain at the top of the big bore 4x4 ATV segment, Can Am has released an all-new big bore sport utility lineup for 2025. Boasting more than increased horsepower, the new Outlander 850 and 1000R models are 95% brand new from the ground up. In our test of the new Outlander 500 and 700 last year, we stated that the new chassis appeared capable of dealing with far more horsepower. It left us feeling that the new 500 and 700 chassis was destined to become the platform for an updated Outlander 850 and 1000, as it offered improved handling and suspension characteristics over its bigger siblings. As it turned out, we were right. To show off their new 2025 big bore models, Can Am invited us to the Carl Kuster Mountain Park in Malakwa, British Columbia, Canada, for 2 days of testing on the Outlander 1000R XTP and 850 DPS. To evaluate the machines, we sent vet ATV racer and ATV talk host Leonard Duncan, based on his years of racing and extensive mechanical experience. ATV On Demand's test of the new 2025 Can Am Big Bore ATV lineup has been made possible by Make staying in contact simple with the wireless PackTalk Edge ORV communication system from Cardo. Dynamic mesh communication provides up to a 1-mile range between units and up to 5 miles in larger groups. Water, dust, and mud-proof, it offers easy in-helmet installation with sound by JBL. Offering hands-free voice-activated operation with up to 13 hours of talk time on a single charge. PackTalk is ideal for both in-car and car-to-car communication, allowing you to connect up to 15 units at one time. Ideal for side-by-sides, ATVs, dirt bikes, or any other type of off-road use.
You guys ready?
We're ready.
Roll it.
Learn more or order yours now at cardosystems.com. Trim packages. In addition to their 2-up max models, Can Am offers 6 single-seat trim packages that we'll cover. Packages begin with a standard non-power steering equipped model. It still boasts premium features like 3-mode intelligent throttle and engine braking, LED lighting, full chassis skid plate, phone storage, a digitally encoded security system key, and a square tire setup. Steel wheels are used to help keep price in check, and the base model is available as an 850 only for $11,199. Available in 850 and 1000R engine options, the DPS model gains tri-mode dynamic power steering, faster locking Visco-Lock QE front differential, and aluminum wheels. The 1000R switches from 12 to 14-inch alloy wheels, adds dual rear disc brakes, and LED signature accent lights. Pricing for the 850 is $12,499, with the 1000R selling for $13,899. The XT package picks up a 3,500-pound winch, front and rear steel bumpers, wraparound handguards, a phone holder with USB charger, plus a camo color option. Tire size remains the same at 26 inches, but the tires are upgraded to Can Am's in-house XPS brand Trail King 2 tires mounted on 14-inch aluminum wheels on both the 850 and 1000R. The XT1000R also picks up a Visco 4-lock lockable front differential, a front sway bar, dual rear disc brakes, and signature front LED accent lights. The XT850 sells for $13,649, with the 1000R selling for $15,049. The more sport-focused XTP package is available as a 1000R only. Building on the XT1000R package, coloring is unique throughout. The shocks are upgraded to piggyback Fox Podium 1.5 QS3s. Tire size increased 1 inch to 27-inch XPS Trail King 2s, mounted on 14-inch aluminum beadlock wheels, with a square tire setup like the others. A handlebar riser is topped with aluminum tapered handlebars and sport-style wraparound handguards. A special edition seat cover rounds out the upgrades, retailing for a whopping $16,599. Totally decked out for mud riding with snorkels and a relocated radiator. Can Am's legendary XMR mud machines are also brand new for 2025. The 850 retails for $14,999, with the 1000 going for $16,599. We hope to have a test with complete details in a coming video. Ergonomics and styling. The new Outlanders retain a distinctively Can Am look, with a slightly more angular, aggressive, and low-profile appearance. Dual LED tail and headlights are modern, and plenty bright enough for night riding at a good pace. Ergonomics have been greatly improved. Gone is the bulge on the side of the CVT. The width between your feet is unchanged according to Can Am, but it feels as though it's been narrowed up thanks to the new side body panels that allow you to more easily grip the quad with your legs. The floorboards are spacious, and the plastic foot pegs are tall and wide enough, with kick-ups on the ends for added control. The new seat remains comfortable and welcoming, although we prefer the feel of the higher-end cover on the XTP, with switches everywhere to control the different modes. The cockpit seems pretty busy until you get used to it. The layout is pretty intuitive. Mounted on risers, the straighter aluminum handlebars of the 1000R XTP were well shaped for aggressive riding. The more swept-back bars of the 850 are better suited for casual cruising. Can Am continues to mount their 7.6-inch digital display in front of the handlebars instead of on top of them, allowing you to switch to whatever type of handlebar style or bend you prefer. This is the way it should be done on all ride-on ATVs. Engine performance. Like the Outlander 500 and 700, share a 650cc engine with different horsepower and torque numbers through different tuning. The new 850 and 1000R share a brand new 999cc Generation 3 Rotax V-twin engine. The 1000R puts out an insane 101 horsepower and 69 foot-pounds of torque, a 10 horsepower increase. It now enjoys an 11 horsepower advantage over its closest single-seat rival, the 90 horsepower Polaris Sportsman XP 1000. The 850 pumps out 82 horsepower, a 4 horsepower increase, and 66 foot-pounds of torque, only 3 foot-pounds less than the 1000R. The only differences between the engines is clutching, ECU tuning, and more airflow over the 1000's radiator. We think it would make more sense to market both machines as a 1000 with different horsepower outputs, like the automotive industry. Perhaps a 1000 and a 1000R. The new V-twin engine features 4 valves and double overhead cams per cylinder. Compression ratios have risen from 10.6 to 1 on the G2 to near race quad levels at 11.8 to 1 on the Gen 3. 87 octane fuel is minimum, with 91 plus recommended for optimal performance. A new intake is designed for increased airflow. Air is drawn from high in front of the rider, where the air is cleanest and coolest. Toolless access to the air filter, coolant, and fuse box is located under the front console. Air and fuel are fed to the engine via fuel injection, with the gas drawn from a 5.1-gallon fuel tank. A new exhaust with a center-mounted silencer was designed for improved power while retaining Can Am's V-twin rumble that we love. We were thrilled with the performance of Can Am's P-Drive roller clutch on the Outlander 500 and 700. Can Am now equips it on the Gen 3 850 and 1000R. It reduces friction, maintenance, and harshness under acceleration, while offering faster shifting for improved responsiveness. thanks to a dual roller design versus a friction-driven design. The new, fully automatic continuously variable transmission continues to offer high and low ranges plus neutral reverse and park, selected by a gated shifter. Can Am worked to make gear selection smoother and easier than before. CVT ratios were lowered on takeoff in search of better engagement at lower speeds and improved belt life. The new CVT intake system was designed to increase airflow, drawn from high in front of the rider like the engine intake. Front and rear differentials are new, with spiral bevel cut gears to reduce vibration and noise. Visco 4-lock lockable front differentials are now found on all XT and up trim packages on the 1000R, plus the 850 and 1000R XMR mud models, selected by a toggle switch on the throttle. All of the new big bore Outlanders feature intelligent throttle control, offering work, normal, and sport modes to reduce or enhance throttle responsiveness for different uses and conditions. Selected on the front of the throttle, intelligent engine braking is also standard, letting you choose between 3 different levels of engine braking assistance. Sadly, the beautiful V-twin Rotax engine has now been hidden from sight by new full side panels. They are easily removable for maintenance of the engine oil and CVT. Can Am added them along with heat shields and other key areas to help mitigate heat transfer to the rider and other mechanical components. The new engine package, mounts and all, were designed to help minimize vibration. The new P-Drive clutch-equipped transmissions are outstanding. Gone is the grabby feeling and belt lash from the CVT. Acceleration from a dead stop or getting back in the gas is now a butter-smooth experience. This makes the power easier to deal with in technical situations or simply in the garage. The lower CVT ratios improve low-speed performance. CVT lag is not an issue either. Backshifting and CVT responsiveness were nearly instantaneous. Choosing the transmission setting with a gated shifter is also notably smoother than in years past. Power on the 1000R is electric, starting off incredibly strong, building seamlessly to the 80 miles per hour we've managed to reach. Acceleration feels a bit faster, but the new chassis is better suited to dealing with it. Plus, the ATV got a bit heavier. The throttle's work mode is best suited for work, or less experienced riders who want to take your machine for a spin, filtering out unwanted stabs at the throttle. Again, the smoother CVT helps here. Normal mode was great for all-around riding, filtering out some unwanted inputs from bumps, while offering full throttle at full throttle. Test rider Leonard Duncan chose to leave the throttle in sport mode a majority of the time, making the most of the engine's ludicrous power. It makes the throttle incredibly responsive. For that reason, we keep sport mode in reserve for riders with a very high level of experience. The Outlander 850 is no slouch either, giving up little torque. Low-end power isn't far off from the 1000R. Mid-range and top-end power feel a bit tamer after riding the 1000R. But had we ridden the 850 first, it certainly would have been very impressive. In reality, it delivers more power than nearly any rider can fully utilize. On the 850, the throttle's normal mode will still serve most riders well, but sport mode makes the milder tuned 1000 feel more like the monster that it really is. Two-wheel drive is fun for drifting around turns. Add in Visco-Lock 4-wheel drive, and the machine rails corners with enhanced steering precision. It also enhances stability and steering feel on high-speed straightaways. Good news for potential 850 owners. The Visco-Lock QE system never left us feeling the need to lock the front differential, but it is a welcomed asset in the toolbox of the 1000R XT and XTP. On steep descents, Leonard preferred the intelligent engine braking's max assist, allowing the machine to crawl down hills more easily with less demand on the brakes. For high-speed trail riding, he preferred the minimum assist setting, allowing him to carry more momentum through bumps and into turns. Overall, both power plants are well refined and very impressive. Suspension and handling. The new Outlander is built on a brand new Gen 3 frame. The geometry and materials are new, with the steel alloy chassis said to offer enhanced durability and rigidity while reducing weight by 35%. It's protected by a full-length 5.5mm thick plastic skid plate, which we applaud, but it's riveted on, which will make cleaning underneath it a real pain. Steering geometry has been revised, along with power steering settings in search of improved steering precision and high-speed stability. To further enhance stability, a front sway bar is used on the XT and XTP 1000R models. Out back, Can Am's torsional trailing arms have been replaced by a sway bar equipped dual A-arm design. The A-arm rear end grows in width by 1.5 inches as the suspension compresses under acceleration, adding a bit more stability for corners. Can Am tuned the rear suspension geometry to increase negative camber, or how much the rear tires lean in under compression, keeping the rear tires rolling flat on the ground, maximizing traction and reducing the tendency for the rear tires to hook an edge in corners. Rubber bushings were used throughout the suspension components to reduce noise and maintenance. Arch lower A-arms are used at both ends to maximize clearance. Suspension travel is now class leading, increased by 1.6 inches front to 10.8 inches. Rear suspension travel increased by 2.1 inches to a full 12 inches. Basic gas-charged shocks with 5-way preload adjustability are used on most models. The XTP gains piggyback reservoir-equipped Fox Podium 1.5 QS3 shocks featuring threaded preload and 3-way compression adjustability. Rolling on 26-inch tires on all trail models except the XTP, which features Can Am's 27-inch XPS Trail King 2s. Ground clearance increased by a ½ inch on most models to 11.5 inches, with the XTP flying a bit higher with a full foot of ground clearance. The machine's width has increased from 48 to 48.5 inches. Wheelbase increased from 51 to 52.8 inches, with improved approach and departure angles. Comparing the 1000R XTPs, seat height increased from 34.5 to 37.8 inches. The addition of the heavier dual A-arm rear suspension and other changes add up to a significant increase in estimated dry weight from 895 to 975 pounds. Both Outlanders delivered enhanced handling and suspension performance. With minimal time to tune suspension, we were able to balance and enhance the XTP's handling by switching the QS3 front shocks to their firmest low-speed compression setting, with the rears set to their softest setting. This made the most of the front end's flat cornering manners while keeping the front shocks riding higher in their travel where they're plushest. Softening the rear shocks let them make full use of their travel on big G-outs without bottoming harshly. The rear end's tendency to kick up exiting G-outs seems to have been greatly reduced on the new machines, especially with the XTP shocks. Our minimal shock changes combined with the XTP's 27-inch tires left the machine with a firm, sporty yet forgiving ride over small bumps. Mid-size hits were also dealt with well. On bigger hits like the creek jump, neither end ever seemed to bottom. Leonard did manage to bottom the rear shocks on a couple of abrupt G-outs, again, never bottoming or kicking as harshly as previous models. The machine also seemed far more composed through rolling bumps. Can Am has delivered their best power steering yet with the new 2025 models. The DPS low assist setting was the setting of choice for high-speed terrain. It makes the front end feel less twitchy, delivering more positive feedback and a more connected feeling to the trail. Mid-level assist was good for all-around riding, and high assist was well calibrated for low-speed work duties or rock crawling. Steering is pretty precise for a big 4x4, maximized by leaving it in 4-wheel drive. Stability in corners and on side hills is confidence-inspiring, thanks to the combination of the sport-tuned shocks and dual sway bars. The longer wheelbase seemed to help keep the front end more planted on hole shots and on climbs, although lifting the front end on demand is no problem, especially at lower speeds. Overall, the 1000R XTP seems to have taken 2 steps forward when it comes to suspension and handling. Handling on the 850 was also good, although it doesn't allow you to push as hard as you can on the 1000R due to the lack of a front sway bar and softer suspension tube. Suspension is good over smaller bumps, but the smaller, different model tires and perhaps the suspension tune detracted a tiny bit in small bump compliance. Mid-sized bumps were well dampened, but both ends would more easily find their limits on bigger hits. Rebounding from a G-out or other big hit, the 850 wasn't quite as composed, with a bit more tendency to deflect. Again, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't quite as composed as the XTP. Cornering stability is good, but it does have more body roll than the XTP. We'd prefer all 850 and 1000R models come with a front sway bar, even if it cost an extra $100. Sticking with the more affordable shocks on the 850 and other 1000R models, we'd still prefer a base tune and valving that's more in line with the base tune of the XTP shocks. With time to tune, we'd add another notch or two of preload to the 850's front shocks for flatter cornering. Side hill stability was good, along with its climbing and descending prowess. Both machines handled very well. We just recommend not riding an XTP unless you want to spend over $16,000 on a new ATV, as it's the one you'll want to buy or wish you had. Brakes. Can Am went after improved braking power and modulation for 2025. New metallic pads were used for better durability and bite, still attached to dual piston calipers clamping on 214mm rotors. The Outlander still utilizes single lever braking mounted on the handlebars, with a revised lever shape for 2025. The foot brake lever still remains to operate the rear brake independently. 1000R models now feature a second rear disc brake, offering true four-wheel braking. Braking power and feel is very good on both machines. Braking balance is very good front to rear, not leaving you depending on the rear brake pedal to maximize braking power. The separate rear brake pedal is welcomed for times that you want more rear braking power than front. However, we wish Can Am would make the brake pedal height adjustable, as it's still too high. We were excited to see the addition of a second rear disc brake on the 1000R, giving it the edge in braking power. It should also reduce maintenance. Work capability. Work capability is unrivaled. Rack capacity has increased, 20 pounds front to 120 pounds and 40 pounds rear to 240 pounds. Composite racks are found at both ends. Under the front rack is 30 liters of dry storage. Out back, there's a removable 10-liter sealed box that leaves behind a sizable open tray for carrying cargo. We think the rack's tie-down points should prove to be adequate. Thanks to the new chassis, the 2-inch hitch receiver is now rated to tow a whopping 1,830 pounds, 180 pounds more than last year. There's also a cell phone storage box in front of the rider, featuring a USB charging port on some models. If you want an ATV with as much horsepower as your tractor, any of the big bore Outlanders should work out nicely. Conclusion. When we first rode the new Gen 3 chassis on the Outlander 700, we imagined how good it could be powered by a bigger Rotax V-twin engine. Can Am has made our dreams come true, and the result is better than we had imagined. In spite of gaining power, the new big bore Outlanders are more rideable, thanks to new clutches, improved suspension and handling. They are a bit heavier, but yet again, improved suspension, handling, and ergonomics help hide it. The 850 is an ideal machine for the rider craving big bore performance, but isn't planning on pushing their limits a majority of the time. The 1000R XTP, with its upgraded suspension, tires, and beadlock wheels, is definitely aimed more at the rider interested in pushing their limits more often. Both machines are perfectly capable of getting work done. The Gen 2 Outlander 1000R XTP set the standard for performance in our 2020 1000cc 4x4 ATV shootout. Based on our first rides, the new Gen 3 Outlander 850 and 1000R set the new standard in big bore ATV performance. Learn more about the new big bore Gen 3 Outlander lineup and their full line of ATVs and side-by-sides at canamoffroad.com.